Drill. Weekdays at 3 on Local 3. We feel a bit like social calendar experts on this show sometimes because always there's something going on in the community, and we have a great time highlighting that and letting you know where you want to be and when. So mark your calendars for May 31st. The where to go is Christ Episcopal Church at 7:30 because David Long is here. He has long been the director of the Chattanooga Bach Choir, and he has brought with him Janelle Wagner, a Chattanooga native, back home from studying at Valparaiso, who is a member of the choir. Good to see you both.
Good to see you, Julie.
Congratulations. I mean, y'all did an online performance in those wonky years of COVID, but now you're back live and in person.
Yes, it almost feels like we should apologize to our audience for being gone so long, but like for so many organizations, pandemic really hit us hard. But the exciting news is that we're back.
Yeah.
And so this will be our first live performance since the pandemic.
You and I don't talk often on the show. I wish we had a chance to talk more, but I'm a classical music lover, and every morning that's kind of my morning cup of coffee is with my classical music station, and that's how I wake up. There's power in classical music to me because you can bring your own interpretation to the notes.
Absolutely. In fact, that's a great question. Not only can you do that, but I think in the music that we do in Baroque music, that's even more true, because that was part of the style of that time period, is that you were allowed to put in ornaments or put in stylings.
Right.
And so if you go and hear one group and one conductor's interpretation, and you go and hear another group, it will be slightly different each time you hear it.
I'm going to bring Janelle into the conversation, but before I do, for those of you thinking, okay, wait a minute, what is Bach's music? Maybe y'all were like me. I remember learning in elementary school Bach's Little Fugue. Remember? That isn't that the right one?
Yes.
Isn't that Bach?
Yes, and many of you probably also know the Minuet in G if you ever had piano lessons.
Right.
So, which is also a rock and roll song in the 60s.
Okay, that's so good.
Yeah, I can't think of what it was, but I remember that was
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's the foundation, classical music, for so much of our popular culture. You can't watch Bugs Bunny and not hear classical music. But the Baroque had its own formality to it. I mean, there were rules of writing music, correct?
A lot like the 12-bar blues, where you have a formal structure, you have a chordal structure, and then you have going underneath, and then you have all this going up on top. And it can vary. It can have high soaring lines. It can be very fast music, very exciting. It can be very tranquil music at other times.
Right.
So the Baroque style, there's more than one style in the Baroque style. And of course, the Baroque style is very different from the classical area, very different from the Romantic area, very different from the 20th century style. So
as the conductor and the director, you're kind of the interpreter. Janelle, as a performer, executes your plan.
Yes.
So here you are, this young thing, singing this ancient music. How great is that for you? What does it feel like for you?
I mean, it's very exciting. I have heard these songs all my life and then have never gotten to perform them until I joined the Bach choir. And you're getting to sing all sorts of stuff that you've heard over and over and over again, and then to see it on a page is very interesting. The notes are sort of like what you would imagine an instrument would play. It's very instrumental writing in the way that the line flows and ebbs through the music. And it's not just like a hymn tune where everybody's singing the same notes at the same time. It flows in different ways at different times between the lines of music.
The more you sing it, the more you marvel at his genius?
Oh, definitely. No two pieces are the same. Every cantata is different. And then you get into those big masterworks that he's put together, and it's amazing how much music he can fit into, a 20-minute.
And how much music he wrote.
Yes.
I mean, he was prolific.
Yeah, very prolific.
What's interesting though is that, so you think, I mentioned this ancient music. I mean, he was writing in what, the 1600s? When did he live?
In the 1800s. Yes. The 1700s, 18th century. 1685 to 1750 is his life, but most of what he was doing in Leipzig started in 1723.
Okay.
So 300 years ago.
300 years ago, and yet the music resonates still. And at the performance on May 31st, there is actually a living artist who's going to be there, right? That's still following in this Baroque style?
Yes, not actually
Yeah.
at the performance, but we're performing a work by a living composer,
Okay.
Morten Lauritsen, who many people in the choral world would know, as well as in the band and orchestral world because of his famous O Magnum Mysterium that's been transcribed for band and orchestra. So you have a lot of people. I know several of the high school bands have performed this work. So anyway, it's his setting of the text Ave Maria that we're performing with this, which goes very nicely with the cantata. It's a Marian theme. This is the Feast of the Visitation, May 31st in the Christian calendar year, and so all of that fits together.
It's I have a minute left, roughly. You would think then that here Janelle is, probably she studied music in college, but the fact is you're an engineer?
I am. I did study music. I have a music minor, but my degree is technically in electrical engineering, so this is my fun time.
Does not surprise me really, and you would know this as a dad and your work, that if you develop musical skills, that directly translates into math.
Absolutely. And her father is a musician and her mother is an engineer.
Well, you were destined.
Yes.
Okay, now I will say because we're going to let you hear a clip of the Bach choir so that you can kind of get a teaser for what you want to go and experience on May 31st at Christ Episcopal Church, right there by UTC.
Yes.
The concert begins at 7:30. There is a $20 admission fee, right?
Yes.
But students get in for free.
Students for free, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And if people want to audition for the choir, when does that happen?
We're setting dates very soon. All of that's going to happen very soon because of this. We're of course in the summertime. So check out our website, ChattanoogaBachChoir.org.
And here they are to perform a bit for you today, a teaser of what you'll enjoy on Tuesday.
Wake up to Memorial Day savings all week long at Mermaid